Joining me now, former FBI Assistant Director Tom Fuentes, CNN legal analyst Shan Wu, and CNN's Evan Perez. Evan, you've got some new reporting on what went into this FBI investigation.
Well, the senators are now in this secure room reading these documents. There are over 1,000 pages that are included in these documents, and the FBI ended up including information that was unilaterally brought into the FBI through the tip lines. As you know, there were people calling, there were people who were sending stuff online. The question is, what is in that information? Was the FBI able to corroborate any of it? It appears that if it was the tip line, it would be information that they did not get to corroborate. They obviously did not do interviews with all of those people. So it is going to be interesting to see what senators take away from that. And going back to just your point just now, the White House insisting that they did not interfere with this investigation. I mean, I guess that's true, but the FBI, the White House governed exactly what the FBI was going to do here. And look, that's the way it's supposed to work.
The White House is the FBI's client.
The White House counsel's office was the client here, and they told the FBI what to go look at, what they needed in this investigation, and that's what they did.
Tom, you have overseen probably more FBI background checks than you can count. Looking at the process here, looking at what we know about what they found and didn't find, what does this tell you?
Well, it tells me that they were as thorough as they could be. You know, Kavanaugh had already been through prior background investigations, including in this case. So they didn't need to go back over ground they'd already covered. But in any background, the use of alcohol, drugs, other situations like that, personal behavior, is part of the routine background all the time. So he would have been through those kind of questions with classmates and professors and neighbors and relatives and friends. That would have already been covered. What was supposed to be covered in this case was what's new based on what Ford said in her letter and in her sworn testimony.
And given your experience, do you think that the FBI had the ability to do as extensive a background check, supplemental check,
yes, absolutely,
in the past few days?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because you already heard in this case a week ago Saturday, they're not going to look at anything except Ford's allegations. And then the next day you hear they already interviewed Ramirez. So, and now you're hearing today that they've gone forward with some of the other interviews that were done and some of the other tips that they had gotten. So the White House just basically said, we don't want you to do 5 years, 50,000 interviews in this case, but narrow it down as much as possible to the most recent allegations that are credible and take a look at that. And it sounds like they did, or these senators who have already looked at the report wouldn't be saying it looked thorough to them.
And several of them are saying that Mark Judge in particular, who is really a key person for a lot of the pivotal senators, was talked to for 3 hours. Separately, though, we do hear from the attorneys of both Christine Blasey Ford and Deborah Ramirez that they're not really that thrilled with how it went down. Let me just read you a quote from Deborah Ramirez's attorney. she was interviewed as she was one of the 9. Fewer than 4 days later, however, the FBI apparently has concluded its investigation without permitting its agents to investigate. We are deeply disappointed by this failure. We can only conclude that the FBI or those controlling its investigation did not want to learn the truth behind Ms. Ramirez's actions. The argument there is that she gave the FBI other people to talk to and that it wasn't followed up on.
Right. I mean, I think the problem is that if you let me control who you ask questions to, I'm going to control what your answers are. And that's the big unknown. Because if Don McGahn at the White House was shepherding this whole thing, telling them, and they are the clients, as Evan said, telling them who they should talk to, and that's all they can talk to, doesn't matter how good they are when they're talking to them, they're only going to get the answers the White House already is prepared to have. And that's where the problem is in terms of our consciousness of was this well done or not well done. It's technically probably done perfectly, but the problem is if you control who gets to be questioned, you control the outcome of the investigation.
Right, and I think a lot of people misunderstand what this process is. This is not a criminal investigation, so this is not the normal thing that people think of when they think of the FBI. But this is a big part of what the FBI does. And so, look, I think what the fascinating backstory here that's going to play on is, you know, if the Democrats take over the House, they are going to spend time reviewing what the FBI did here. So the FBI knows this, and that's why you see a lot of this information, including the tip line information, is being sent up so that, you know, I think the FBI is kind of tired over the last couple of years of being sort of the political football for the politicians in the city.
I would imagine. Real quick before we go to break, Tom, Blasey Ford's lawyers are saying that it's ridiculous that she wasn't talked to as well. as somebody who's done this before, do you agree, or do you think that what she said in public is enough?
No, I disagree. What she said in public was under oath. You know, she gave her letter, she gave her statements through herself and through her attorneys to Senator Feinstein as far back as July, but she testified under oath for several hours, as did Judge Kavanaugh. That's their statements. That's everything that needed to be said, and she supplied the names of who they should look at and talk to corroborate her story. They went to them, they did that, and if they failed to corroborate her story, what else, you know, where else were they going to go? It sounds like they still don't have a date, time, place, or anything about this party.
Thank you all for your insights, your reporting, your experience. Appreciate it.